Hi guys, welcome to Hydra Collectables, where we let our geek flag fly. My name's Luke and I'm your host, and today we're asking the question, should you be letting go of your childhood? Now before I go on, let me first state that I am well aware that I am part of the problem here. I am a heavy consumer of nostalgia and collect to what some would believe was a high degree. Back in the day, our grandparents would read comics in childhood and eventually grow up and move on. They didn't moan about how their beloved content was still being pitched towards children. It just didn't matter to them. They were past it. It was a moment in their lives and then it wasn't. Even our parents used to go out to the cinema and watch standalone movies in their childhood, never concerning themselves with the idea of what comes next. Now true, there were some movies at the time where they had planned sequels in place in order to tell their tales, but many of these at least began with one standalone film. This meant it was up to the sequel, movie number 2, in order to expand the bridge across to a third and thus giving us a trilogy. A good example of this is Star Wars, a standalone movie that would have equally have worked had the movie not made enough to warrant a sequel. However, warrant a sequel it did, and thus the trilogy was formed, a beginning, a middle, and an end. The trilogy was all it was ever intended to be, and at the time when fans went to see the third installment, Return of the Jedi, they did so in order to see how the story was going to end. They wanted to see their heroes win. They watched these stories, they enjoyed them, and then they moved on. Fast forward to today, and there are no story ends, only franchises that will inevitably go on with sequels and reboots for years to come. Our generation is arguably the most selfish, with most of us now in adulthood demanding darker, more grittier takes on our favourite franchises, whilst all the while still trying to push what we love onto our own children. And let's face it, our own children aren't old enough for this content. It's as if we're so embarrassed by liking something from our childhood that we demand to have it changed and aged up with us for more mature themes. We need to learn to let go of our childhood and let the next generation of children enjoy it, not grab a hold of it and drag it through the ages with us. Let the next generation have what you did, learn to let go. So where does this all come from? Why are we like this? Well, I believe it's all to do with Peter Pan. We are the Peter Pan generation, and we don't want to grow up, and thus refuse to. Like Captain Hook, we can hear the ticking clock passing of time, and it frightens us knowing that one day that old crocodile known as death is coming for us all. We fear it so much so, even in our fiction we have added another layer of illusion. We have taken these stories from our youth and continued them beyond the end, to the point where even now, 30 years later, we are using technology to reinsert aging actors from our memories using CGI, halting time altogether. We really are living in a time bubble, and I have to say it's completely selfish, depriving the future generations of anything new or original. Now with all that said, there is a handful of franchises that have kind of backtracked and gone against the modern idea of dark and grittier sequels, one of which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. TMNT, as it is often referred to, has actually gone back to its childhood roots and rebooted itself into a much more child-friendly form. Now I will state, as an adult collector and a lifetime fan of the Turtles, this certainly doesn't do it for me, but it is nice to see something from my childhood still relevant with the kids of today. A similar argument can be said for that of Masters of the Universe. This last year we have been lucky enough to get not one, but 2 Netflix-based shows of this franchise, and one could argue that one of these shows was made for older fans, whilst the other for new and younger, and from current statistics it is clear which one of these has been more successful. So yeah, as a consumer of nostalgia, this is a really weird rant to have, and it's definitely the pot calling the kettle black. However, if you love a franchise and you want it to remain relevant, don't drag it along with you. Instead, allow it to evolve, connect with the next generation, and let them have what you had first when you met these characters. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. And until next time, I'll see you in another life. Take care.